This is stupid. Oh god, bro. I gotta get my dynamic microphone back. I'm just a broken human. Okay. I'm still not happy with this damn video. My throat really hurts, bro. I'm sick. I'm only on here to get this ready for tomorrow. How's it going? Haven't seen you in a bit. Do a little more saturation, maybe. A little more saturation. I just don't want to have pink lips. I always had pink lips in my videos. How's it going? I'm not ease recline yet. Is that better? It's a little better. I think. Is that better color? I feel like it's a little bit more saturated. Does that work? I need help here. Ah. I feel like I can't be any type of saturated without looking like my lips are pink. Probably just the webcam kind of thing. It's hard to use a webcam and not get that effect. But we'll see. I'm gonna chat with Tom quick to see if my internet's working. Or not my internet, but to see if my recording sounds okay. Microphone sound fine. Microphone probably sounds fine for now. I don't know. My content that gets the most views is on TikTok anyway, with a bunch of shit quality. It looks and sounds fine. How have you guys been doing? How has it been going? I've been going through it. I really wanted to start making videos again this week, but I started getting sick for no reason, because it's stupid. Because everything's stupid. And this is loud enough on here, I assume. Loud enough on here. It looks loud enough, I think. Should be loud enough. If there's any type of yelling. Active on Shorts and X. Well, I mean, X is like a loser app. To be active on X, you just gotta be a loser, and you're good. You can just tweet 50,000 times a day. Make a few $100s off a Jasmine Crockett discourse. Because that's fun and very productive. Obviously.
A flame.
Liking the content. This is the first ever microphone I ever used to record anything ever. Back when I was a young lad. I never used it for YouTube, but my SoundCloud career. DJ. Hi, DJ. Crockett torpedoed her reputation. Yeah. Yeah, my main goals right now for the midterms, I don't know. I feel like I want to push everybody. So like whether it's someone on the left, and I use the terms far left or deep center. I want to make sure everybody is operating at full capacity. So far left, the idealism, the ideologues, the idolatry of certain figures or ideas. I want to make sure we pound more pragmatism there. But for liberals, which is going to be the conversation tomorrow, more imagination, more going with waves of emotions and, you know, populist waves, whatever it might be. We have to ride some of those emotions and be more imaginative. I think the DSA competition is good for the deep center, as I call it. Although I don't want the DSA to control the party, I think a lot of the moderate elements of the party need to get their ass kicked to get better. And we can't have 50-year incumbents shitting away races against DSA candidates or whoever, because they're a bunch of lazy buoys, booty holes. Yeah, I just don't want to win elections. I basically, yeah, I had to stop because of Troy Jackson, bro. Oh, here, wait, let me go to. I'm gonna talk to Tom for a second to make sure my audio is good. It should be working.
Jola.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How's my audio level wise, noise wise, sound wise?
Talk one more again.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. It's good.
Cool.
It sounds good too. It
Nice.
sounds like you got like a bass booster on there.
Oh yeah, I started using the voice meter so I could sound better for friggin' every app, however you do it.
I have voice meter as well, but I don't know where the fuck it. Oh yeah, that. Wait. Oh yeah. Okay, never mind. It is.
What do you use?
I use voice meter. But it's just I don't like it very much.
I don't love it.
My problem,
yeah.
The main reason I use voice meter is because my mic is too quiet, and so I need to boost the gain like a lot. And then when I use it, if I want to turn on like the sound controls, like to get rid of some of the background audio and crap.
Discord, but this is the easiest solution I found so far. But yeah, I'll have to try that out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I do. I use a number of like virtual audio cables for this. So
oh boy,
you're supposed to go talk to Destiny tomorrow, eh?
yeah, it's the same DSA discourse. Obviously, everybody's having.
I know I saw that you posted like the last time that you talked to Destiny, he like got mad and then you were proven right. Isn't it the opposite though? Like didn't Democrats end up using a lot more populist rhetoric and it's just kind of hasn't really helped at all?
I think they're using it now. So like Tallarico, John Ossoff, they are not like extreme socialists or progressives even, but they use the Epstein class. Ossoff does. Tallarico talks about top versus bottom. So I think I was pretty correct. I mean, every Democrat, even like Mikey Sherrill, and the affordability talk, anti-data center talk, I feel like I was proven right.
I just mean like even Democrats as a whole when talking about like Donald Trump and the corruption, the Israel, the wars, I feel like the majority of the rhetoric that we would expect from populists, those sorts of issues for people to fight on, I feel like Democrats have been like very vocal in fighting on those exact issues.
Oh, you have me muted, your chat said, I think.
You're muted for them?
Yeah, on your stream.
Okay. All right, I gotta fix all of my stuff then. I didn't realize yeah, that's right. I forgot I rerouted everything for the last panel because all the audio was so fucked. All right, so then this goes here. And then this goes here. Okay. Talk again.
Hello, can you guys hear me in Tom's stream?
You guys hear him? Yeah.
Someone said good job.
I got it. Yep.
So like, okay, the whole point around my first conversation with Destiny a few years ago, it was Katie Porter on her like dumb whiteboard thing, where she and people love that. A lot of people do love that. Where she was talking to like a pharma CEO, and she was saying that their R&D spending went to stock buybacks when it should have gone to either more research, and if they are not going to do something productive with it other than enrich shareholders, then they should they should just pay it in taxes essentially. And it was a lot of populist rhetoric. And what Destiny said to me was, I was saying like it's necessary to wave around the jingly car keys, jingle your car keys, shiny objects. The American people need that in this day and age to be attracted to something. And he said essentially, well, if that's what it takes to get the American people on board with my political agenda, then this country deserves to burn in hell. And like that's basically him admitting that we kind of need that. Yeah, he was referring directly to that. If we have to communicate like idiots, then we should burn, basically.
From what I remember, he was referring to her lying and saying that she was misrepresenting what was going on with that healthcare company, and that in the stock buybacks, and then instead, like, because if we have to lie to everybody or misrepresent things to a certain extent in order to get votes, then the country's already fucked at that point.
Yeah, but by that logic, we've been effed for the entirety of humanity, of human civilization, And what she was saying, his argument was from like a purely like in econ, it's the company's amoral nature to say, I am going to use this extra money to do buybacks because they can legally do it. And he doesn't care that much about buybacks as like a political issue. He thinks it's stupid to focus on. So like I get that sentiment, but I also was trying to say like you need to make things convincing. Even the civil rights era, if you look into a lot of the big stories of like civil rights protests, some of them were orchestrated for the dramatic effect, but they also represented like a truth of the time as well. Even if some things were like quote unquote manufactured for dramatic appeal.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't really agree though. Like the majority of history, or even like currently, that the majority of politicians are just running around lying.
It's not lying though.
Well, okay, misrepresenting things to an extent in order to get something.
What did she misrepresent in that?
I don't remember exactly. I would have to go back, because you and I had a conversation about it as well. And I think you even said that like it's I think you said it's more just hyperbolic, or it's more like hyperbole than it is a lie, or it's more like they're just kind of
well, she's making them seem like an enemy, like she's making them seem like a villain because they're doing their natural economic motivation is to, their incentive structure says use the extra funds. If we don't need to do R&D and all this other stuff, then use it for buybacks. And it's not the company's fault. They're not an evil villain, and she was making that company out to be a villain. And yeah, that's what Tallarico's doing. That's what John Ossoff is doing. Whenever Tallarico says, top versus bottom, is that necessarily true in Texas? The fact that he's even close to Ken Paxton shows you it's mostly a social battle. It's mostly social issues. And when John Ossoff says the Epstein class, just like Plattner said, John Ossoff is not Plattner in any way. He's a very normal, moderate, like establishment liberal politician. That leans into the same thing where he's making a story out of it, making people into be villains, even if it's not necessarily 100% deserve to be labeled as that for everybody that he's including there.
I feel like when you're looking at the makeup of the Democrat Party and the fact that the DSA is becoming more popular now, I feel like it is more of an issue with content creators. And when we look at people who are really buying into the populist rhetoric and this, Epstein class sort of bullshit, I feel like that is just a product of alternative media and the types of stuff that they're pushing out there. And I don't think it's good enough to just say that like, oh, well, John Ossoff is pushing this rhetoric, which I do think that like, I think right now, if he runs in 2028, hopefully, I believe he'll be able to do fairly well. But I do know that like the types that I'm upset about already pushing the populist rhetoric in the first place and the farther left rhetoric that are within independent media, these people are already kind of against the John Ossoffs and are already saying he's an enemy and that he's, just masquerading as one of them to push establishment Democrat politician policies. And even I think from what I understand, he's my senator, to be clear. I love Ossoff, but I believe he's even been the person who has voted with Democrats or across party lines more than anybody else in the Senate. And I don't know how long that could last for somebody like him. I feel
But
like
he still has broad
a,
appeal because of the way he
that's what
speaks.
I'm
Same with
saying. That's what I'm
Tallarico.
saying. I don't think that can last. Is my point. I don't think that can actually.
I think
last.
it can. I think
Backfire.
a big topic of tomorrow with Destiny is going to be that the whole DSA issue is very overblown. Every poll for Democrats for president has Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, John Ossoff, Josh Shapiro, Pete Buttigieg, and then you have AOC at like 10% right now in the current Democratic Party. There's nobody even like close to being yeah. We're talking about DSA winning in Democratic primaries. The issue with DSA ideology taking over the Democratic Party is being inflated and made to be a bigger issue because people like Destiny hyper focus on them. That's the only reason why they're even a story. Yeah.
It's not. The biggest voting bloc right now within the Democrat Party are independent, or sorry, within the America are independents, the like centrist independents. They are the plurality. It's like 32% Democrat or left, Democrat voters, 32% Republican voters, and then it's like 45% independent centrist voters who don't like either party. And when you're in a federal election like president, you're fighting for those middle people. Everybody else is pretty staunchly going.
Middle doesn't make any sense though. They're not in the middle. They are really complicated.
No. The plurality is so like
the so-called middle of voters is probably, but the middle of voters for 2016 was more receptive of a Bernie Sanders than a Hillary Clinton for very complicated reasons. Some having to do with gender, some having to do with like conspiracy around Clinton, some having to do with anti-establishment, some having to do with Russian propaganda. Like there's a lot of really weird. I know a lot of Trump voters who were huge Bernie fans, and they still call my show to this day. They would have voted Bernie over. Even right now, a lot of the rhetoric that people don't like in this party, like the Troy Jackson types, that rhetoric does good with moderate voters, whether we like it or not. But the whole conversation is about the DSA taking over the Democratic Party and the polling for president and everything. We still have the moderates winning 90% of the vote, and the only DSA adjacent, AOC is not even endorsed by DSA anymore. She gets like 10% of the vote for 2028 candidates. And whenever DSA does win, it's because they're in a plus 50 district, and it's a shitty moderate that is lazy because they've been in that seat for 40 years, or they run Andrew Cuomo, a shit candidate, or they run Janet Mills, a shit candidate in Maine. The only way DSA ever wins is if a moderate shit the bed, or centrist, or any regular Democrat shits the bed. They're not anywhere near having any type of influence in the Democratic Party other than being loud. And I just think we're giving them more power and more group identity by labeling them so often.
That's okay. So the like all polling shows that like things are trending in the exact opposite direction. So while I agree that the moderates were the ones who were winning in the majority of primaries across America for Congress and even gubernatorial races, currently, in the most recent polling that just came out last week from CNN, 64% of Democrats prefer socialism over capitalism, and it's only like 36% prefer capitalism. Then we have especially younger groups, any under 30s, identifying as socialists at really high rates. People who have positive views of socialism within the Democrat Party is up over like 80% right now. The idea that like people who are coming in saying, hey, like we're socialists, and with somebody like Mamdani, AOC, like these people endorsing those people as being some of the most popular candidates. Kamala Harris is considered just as far left from Americans. American polling shows that America believes that Kamala Harris is just as far left as
it's all a media issue for sure.
Yes, but that like that's what we're talking about though, is the fact that like there is the centrist groups are against like the DSA sort of candidates. They do think that the Democrat Party is moving too far left. One of the major issues
That
with Kamala
doesn't
Harris
matter
is that
though.
they thought that she was too far left.
Yeah, because
Yes,
of pronouns and trans issues. They do not know about economics. The median voter does not
no,
know shit about Medicare for all. No one
Socialism as well,
cares. When
yeah.
people think socialism as Democrats, they think Bernie Sanders. What people think socialism is transgender athletes in the bathrooms of women's basketball games where the men
And then when people
athletes
are
are beating up the
actually
women.
identifying as fucking socialists,
I've
that's
never,
sure.
the Fox News coverage has not changed. It is true. There are some people who are literally the, caricature of like crazy open borders leftist. But for every one person we have that's like that, Republicans have a dozen of literal domestic abusers, literal child abusers, child traffickers,
I agree.
criminals who should be in jail. We should keep the heat turned up on them. We can talk about the DSA sometimes, but they're going to lose eventually. The only reason they won is again because they ran against like 30-year incumbents who are a bunch of lazy assholes who just think they should have died in their seat.
We already know that America doesn't give a fuck about any of that shit. Like,
yeah, but like America thought Democrats were too radical for the past 20 years versus Republicans. And even worse because Trump and MAGA lies to them. And because all the right-wing billionaires own all the media companies. It's a media issue, not a DSA issue. And I think we're giving too much credit to DSA that they don't deserve. But the DSA is not changing those numbers at all. The numbers have been the same before the rise of DSA. Nothing has really changed because of them.
That is what the conversation is about, though. So, like, the main part of this conversation has been about, like, who is in or out of the coalition, right? And, like, that conversation is about who's pushing these, like, DSA sort of candidates versus, like, being against the more moderate Democrat establishment sorts of candidates and being, like, not encouraging people to vote, not endorsing the candidates. Like, that has been the majority of this conversation when we're talking about the DSA. Is not that the DSA in and of itself is the problem. It's the media atmosphere that is against the establishment and pushing more anti-establishment, more populist sorts of candidates. Those are the people that everybody has been focused on, not the DSA in and of themselves, but the people who are pushing DSA.
When I look at Democrats versus Republicans, I'm seeing that DSA is really hurting the Democrats' public image. I just disagree. I think that Democrats, our public image is bad because every single aspect of media everywhere is designed to be anti-Democrat. And Democrats also, a reason we're considered far left is because we stand up for all the minority groups. We need to make it work with black voters and brown voters. And we have to make it work with Asian voters. We have to make it work with Chinese, like Indian. We have to make it work with every ethnic category, every pronoun, every, trans, LGBT, like all these different intersecting. And I love it. I love that Democrats represent all these issues and all these different communities, but it makes it harder for us to have one cohesive identity. And it makes us easy to attack and hard to defend from because every side, every, tribal part of the Democratic Party wants to go into their own corners. And that's the same thing I've been talking about with like Jasmine Crockett and not supporting Tallarico. It's hard for us to come together because of a lot of that stuff. And Republicans know their identity is the straight white guy, Christian, straight white Christian nationalist, and the entire and rich people. So the media can also buy into that same fallacy, and it's really easy for them to stay together. And they also have foreign influences on their side because they're destroying America. So I just think the issue is so big and so gargantuan that we focus on the DSA because they are very loud. They're within our proximity in our media bubbles, and they are easier for us to address. Like right now, we can yell at them. We see them all the time. We see Hassan all the time, which is another probably foreign agent for China or something. But it's hard to tackle the grand issue. I just think we're giving too much credit to the DSA.
But again, we're not giving credit to the DSA. We're giving credit to the content creators who are pushing the DSA. It's not that the DSA the DSA currently has a higher approval rating than the Democrat Party. But the approval rating doesn't mean all that much by itself until you include all of the other polling showing that people are starting to identify as socialists at higher rates. And we're talking about the fact that it is the independent media infrastructure on the left that are pushing these sorts of people. And then when you talk about all of the largest content creators on the left. They're all those people. It's the largest streamer on the left. It's Hassan. It's the largest fucking show.
Yeah,
Like, the
but that's my
majority
issue
report
with
is
Destiny.
YT
That's
and,
my
like, all
issue
these-
with Destiny as well, because we know Hassan lies about his progressivism, and he's actually a communist. And that's a funny thing to say, but he's pro-Chinese government over American government. He's anti-democracy. He's anti-constitution. He's anti-freedoms and liberties. But most of his fans don't see that. Most of the people that they talk to don't see that. So when people are convinced to identify as socialist, they're thinking just Bernie Sanders. And DSA is taking it much past what Bernie Sanders actually believes in. Bernie Sanders is like a capitalist liberal compared to these people. Like, Bernie Sanders really is like a social democrat. He calls himself a democratic socialist, but he really functions as a
and he has like more staunch positions on the border and like and things like that versus the DSA. But that doesn't. I believe
that's my big issue though with Destiny. He makes it so repellent for it. Like, let's say, what percentage of Hassan's audience do you think is like, let's say, liberal versus is a progressive like Bernie Sanders versus is like an all-out tanky like communist?
Are we talking about what they would identify as, or what they're?
Like what percent of his audience? Yeah, what percent of like his fans and audience that listens to him and finds him to be reputable is in each of these three categories, like percent-wise?
What? Give me the three.
So let's say like David Pakman liberal versus like Bernie Sanders progressive versus like overall like they believe that America is the great evil. Yeah, like an actual like Hassan Maskoff. Yeah, like the most extreme that people don't usually see.
With their like if we're talking about their actual beliefs, not like what they would identify as, I would say it's probably about So, okay, it depends on what form we're talking about. If we're talking about being anti-America, but not like the economic communist in like Maoism, Lenin, ML's sort of shit. If we're just talking about like them being anti-America, I would say like 70 to 80% of his audience. Like, especially when it comes to like, geopolitics and crap like that, I would say, about 70 to 80%.
What about like pro-Chinese government like he is, like over America?
I don't know. I would imagine the majority, but I'm not sure.
In my experience, and I know it was a big story for college Dems, I'm somebody who was around college Dem types pretty recently. I'm only 26 now. I was in school with a lot of these people. I was not in college Dems, but in talking to them, from my experience, they view Hassan as just like someone who's pushing Democrats to be better and more aggressive, and he's like a Bernie Sanders fan, AOC fan. He lives in proximity to them. I just believe that many of them do not see the mask-off nature of Hassan and what Destiny is encouraging in his community right now. I said that to them, and I know that you can't judge by every comment you get, but even the way he speaks about it, he is using like McCarthyist language. It is crazy as shit, because like imagine if you're like trying to how they come into our communities and they get people to be like socialist and communist. If we try doing that to them,
that you're fighting against with Destiny here. I'm a little lost on like what we're talking about when you say
he
like,
compared
what he's saying.
Well, he identified that like Josiah, like Pondering Politics and Peace Go, he said that cancer, he compared DSA to a cancer, and it's when like the infectious cells or whatever, malignant cells infect the normal cells, and that like Peace Go and Josiah are like the normal cells that the socialists are like slowly infecting, and we have to cut out the cancer before the cancer grows too big, and we have no choice but to kill the entire organism if the cancer spreads too far, is pretty much what he said. And I think that's really
right,
dumb.
but it's so okay, hold on. You're saying that the DSA is not extreme enough to do that, or you're saying they're not powerful enough to do that?
I'm saying that right now, most people who are a part of the DSA are there because of Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani just put up a post on Instagram recently, which has 10 million likes on one platform alone, which is huge. If I go into the likes, I have like a ton of my friends from college, high school, every single walk of life is a fan of Zoran now, and they think DSA means Zoran with Bernie characteristics. And I don't want those people to come into one of our communities and say, "Hey guys, I'm a member of DSA. I wanted to see if you're interested in progressivism too. We should tax the wealthy." Blah 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 blah, and we say to them, "Oh, you tanky communist! I bet you came from Hassan. You want to infect the party like a cancer." I think that rhetoric turns, and a lot of people are apathetic to politics. Even if they're in politics, they don't know every minute detail that's going on. So when like the far lefties like Hassan come and they say, "We just want people to have health care," and then we say, "Oh, you're a cancer," no one's gonna know why. Like that context is gonna be lost, and it's repellent to any like normal person, any normie, anybody who's not politically involved. It makes our group harder to join, and it also gives them more identity and radicalizes people who are part of Hassan's group, because then they are the comfortable hand for them to fall back on when we call them like cancers or whatever. We just have to be we have to be smarter with our propaganda.
I'm sorry, I really don't know if that was anywhere close to an answer to my question. Are you saying that they're not powerful enough, or that they're not extreme enough to be considered a cancer?
I'm saying that we don't need to. We have to have light chemotherapy. We don't need to cut out the cancer completely and have an invasive surgery like he's proposing.
Okay.
They're not powerful enough, not big enough for us to turn all of our attention to.
Okay, so they're not powerful enough. Like they're like if they took over, they probably would be cancerous, but you just don't see them as a real threat.
Yeah, and I think
actually being capable of doing this pragmatically.
I think us giving too much attention to them is growing their brand. I think we are growing their brand, making them seem more menacing than they actually are, and we are helping them build a brand identity and to recruit more people.
Okay.
And I want us to be recruiting people, but I don't think we can recruit people when people don't pay attention to politics enough to understand why we think the DSA might be bad. Or maybe their local DSA chapter is not bad, but their national chapter is bad. And this happened with the college Dems too, where it's like, you're not going to work with any college Dem chapters, even if they are full of liberals like yourself. Like if you want to gain power in any political party or any organization like college Dems or DSA, you would have to gain influence in different delegations all throughout the country to change national leadership. You can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater and take your ball and go home because the game is difficult or because they have control now. We can still influence the people who are joining these organizations. They're still very impressionable. But we need to still be about addition. And I think Pisco might give a little bit too much to them when he speaks. I think Josiah, strikes a pretty good balance. But the way Destiny talks is very radical. I think Hutch is okay with how he speaks about it, but that's a lot of meta conversations.
Yeah, I mean that is my question for Josiah as well, because I just had a conversation with him about this a little bit ago on Pisco's.
Wait, someone in chat just said, Jolo's going to get raked over the coals by Destiny. Why the fuck would you take the local chapters more serious than the national one? Because, retard, okay? Because each national chapter, all right, every local chapter, these are random kids going on college campuses and saying, oh, I want to join the college Democrats, random ass kids. And some of them are more radical, some of them are not radical. People like Hassan and his community have taken time to integrate themselves into every part. This is part of organizing from the bottom to integrate into all these different chapters all throughout the country. You need to compete in the same exact way. And if you can spread your influence to every college Democrat throughout the country, you can root them out. But you're not going to root them out by being non-participatory. Like if you're not going to participate whatsoever, you're ceding the game to them. And that is what Destiny was arguing for. Like, why would I work with organization without national leadership? Because you want to change it. Imagine it, like if the DSA said that about, like, the reason why DSA is an issue right now is because they are doing that by door knocking. They are doing that by organizing on campuses. You don't understand how political power is built. And this is the community that claims to know about that. It's such a dumb point for you to say that.
I mean,
Jesus, like this is liberalism. This is how you organize. Like you cannot, there's no way to change the system from the top down in that kind of setup when you have delegations and different votes from different chapters.
Different aspects though that I feel like you're ignoring a lot of this. Like when people are influencers, they're obviously trying to influence people in different directions. And the fact that they're like, a lot of this has come with stigma. And they've been able to turn people against Democrats and like liberals, Democrat establishment sorts, by just heavily stigmatizing them as these like genocidal, pro-corporate, pro corruption, like, the anti-free healthcare, they're lying to you, they like, pro-Zionist, all this shit. Like they have been using this sort of rhetoric to talk about Democrats for a long time. And I don't think it's ridiculous to also do the things that you're talking about, where it's like you want to You want to like educate people about this stuff. You want to make sure that like you're using a rhetoric that's going to appeal to these people and get them to like agree with you more than the other people, but also like heavily stigmatizing them and making a big deal about like the fact that people who associate with them are probably bad and just kind of have this negative association with the DSA. There has to be both parts.
Yeah, and it's really hard when you have these very like even for Democrats right now. I would say my local Democratic committee that I'm a part of, like I'm I joined like as a committee person, like has such different priorities from the National Democratic Party. If you judged the entire, like every single local Democratic committee chapter by Ken Martin and Chuck Schumer, then we would have no funding, we would have no ground game, we'd have no ability to do anything. If I think about the local like 10 DSA chapters or local 10 Democratic Party chapters, they all have such different vast characteristics based on rural or urban or what kind of demographics actually join. Now, I'm not going to say that, I bet a majority of DSA chapters are insufferable, but the idea that we would just like look at their national leadership, which is probably just a bunch of dipshits that have been there for a while and a bunch of radicals that we hopefully can change someday. If you're a liberal, I think you should join the DSA and infiltrate and be like, hey guys, like pressure them to vote for Democrats. I think you should be recruiting people from DSA like they do back to Democrats. I just think we have to be realistic on this kind of stuff and not just look at the national org as representing every single like city and every town's Democratic Party. It's just it's such a dumb way to look at it.
One of the reason that I kept asking earlier, if you're talking about the way that they identify versus what it is that they actually believe in, is that from my experience right now, a lot of the people who are like advocating for DSA or who are in favor of people like Hassan and a lot of these policies, these people still call themselves liberals. They still say they're liberals. And it kind of drives me a little crazy that there's not like any real distinction right now. They'll call themselves liberals, they call themselves progressives, those things are all the same, and that socialism is just when the government does stuff. And that like that's there's nothing wrong with socialism. Liberals are in favor of socialism. Like that's the kind of rhetoric that I'm hearing a lot from normies on the internet right now, and it especially on TikTok.
Yeah, and I think it's like keeping issues, and I know people don't want to say like in the family or whatever, but I hate the idea, and I saw Destiny do this a few times, where he's on a show with like conservatives, and he's like, "Oh yeah, those lefties are crazy." Republicans will never do that shit, bro. Like Republicans will never play defense, where it's like they're gonna, talk about the one person they don't like, and now they're finally doing it. They're infighting, but they look weak when they do it.
I was about to say they've been doing that for like
recently,
like
recently.
Owens, Nick Fuentes.
Well, that's more of a foreign policy issue. I think they're paid off. I think they're all foreign agents working for Qatar and Russia, trying to be chaos agents. But regardless, like it makes them look weak when they do that. Yeah, Candace Owens, paid by Russia. Yeah, Candace Owens paid by Russia. I don't know if Nick Fuentes is, but Tucker definitely paid by Russia. Tim Pool still is running the freaking USAID lines about rappers being paid by USAID. Yeah, they're all paid by foreign agents. I don't think that's actual genuine disagreement. Okay. Wait, libs have already lost. They're complete cucks. It's delusional to think libs will be welcome in their spaces. I just don't think people, like, when you go to your local Democratic committee meeting, and I don't know if people like in the chat really have done this, or your local even like college Dems or DSA or even like Democratic Socialists in college, like, or any of these organizing groups we're talking about, most of the people there probably pay attention to politics at a rate of like 1%, maybe even like a decimal percentage of like what every person here pays attention to politics. So all the stuff you're saying about like, oh, they wouldn't accept us, blah, 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 you should still try to make that contact and be completely reasonable. And when things come to a flashpoint, when it comes to like electing Democrats around the election versus MAGA, and all these dipshit idiots are like, oh, we don't want to vote for them because America's the ultimate evil or whatever, that's when you dissect them and infiltrate, and you get people who are in the DSA but actually want to be participating in electoral politics. Because there is a big part of DSA that'll be in the Bernie Sanders idea that like AOC was the biggest defender of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. AOC was the huge defender of them, and she's probably going to continue to be a defender of them. And she defended like America on the world stage, supporting possibly Taiwan and Ukraine. So like AOC is giving a good indication that she's going to rein some of those people in as well. But if we just like call all of them crazy communists, there's no way to get those normal people who want to make America better, who don't just hate America. If we just call them all, if we call them all communists and write them all off, then yeah, there's no way we're ever going to de-radicalize or get them to be in our mission. Because again, many of them see a Zoran video. Zoran has, you know, he's one of the most popular young politicians in America among young people. Young people love Zoran a lot. And I'm not going to call them all communist or cancer in the party, because they're not. They don't know what they're getting into when it comes to Hassan. And I want to try to show them. But the extremely inflammatory, exclusionary rhetoric is not helping any of us.
I just disagree. Like, I think that different people have to play different parts, and they're going to do different things. And I think that one of the things that Destiny tries to do is he tries to influence the online ecosphere and influence that space, influence the content creators in one direction.
I don't agree. I really don't agree. I don't think he gives a shit about that.
What do you mean?
Like, they were talking about the college Democrats the other day, and so the guy was saying to him something like I'm saying, essentially like, don't judge every chapter based off the national Democrat or college Democrats, because like anybody who's been on a college campus knows it's very isolated from the rest of the national organization. It's probably local stuff, probably people just meeting each other. They want to be involved in politics. They're not political junkies. And Destiny's like, oh, you don't want to throw away the entire organization? What if they were the college rape Democrats, the college rape Democrats? If Destiny gave a flying shit about influencing the online conversation, he wouldn't need to say, oh, what if they're the college rape Democrats? It's just like, it's so bullshit. If you can't make
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, because if they're the college rape Democrats, you would throw out the entire organization because they have a bad goal in mind, and they would have to change. If like that's what Destiny uses the example, college rape Democrats. Like, it's just like, and oh, we have to use a rape analogy no matter what. If he really gave a shit about it, he'd care about being more effective. It's just stupid.
I don't understand why is that a bad analogy?
Because normal human beings. First off, it's a correct point to say that different chapters are going to have very different characteristics. If you look at Kansas State University,
just to be clear, hold on, wait.
Versus Columbia University.
I keep seeing people in my chat say this as well. It is true that the national Democrat, like the national DSA, doesn't matter as much as the local chapters. The local chapters are way more important. They do a lot more. Every time you hear like the DSA, is endorsing this person or that person, the national DSA, the national DSA is rarely the one who's endorsing them. It's very fucking rare. It is normally a local chapter that's doing it, not the national one, because the national one is the one that's like.
Well, this conversation was about the college Democrats, and Destiny saying he would never work with the college Democrats anywhere because the national leaders are bad. And like the college Democrats from Columbia University are going to be a world's difference versus the college Democrats from University of Pittsburgh or from Kansas State. That's going to be a huge difference in the Democratic parties from here. And maybe the crazy, activist types are able to sneak into positions for the national college Democrats. That doesn't mean you shouldn't work with the college Democrats anywhere, or that they're equivalent to the rape Democrats, where you can't show up at any events for any of the small chapters. Like, no, it's still a group where someone comes on a college campus, they say, oh, look, the college Democrats, I'm going to join them. And we should be allies. We should be helping people who are normie liberals, who go into these spaces and they're like, holy shit, why are these people praising China and saying they hate America? We should be providing an off-ramp to them. And I think like Digital Ground Game is trying to do something like that. But I don't know. When I heard that conversation, I'm like, wait, you don't think that different chapters like in colleges are going to be
Digital Ground Game Destiny's organization?
Well, that's Z's. Wasn't that Z's organization before Destiny?
No, yeah, they're separate things. I kept mixing them up.
Oh, are they separate things now? Okay. Well,
yeah,
whatever.
she has something else similar, but he's not associated with Z anymore.
Okay, she left. Okay, regardless.
She didn't leave.
Oh, she had another one that was similar. Okay, I see.
Yeah, hers has the shoe as the logo.
I see the UFA. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it's not Unfuck America. It's Soul Soul
Digital
Ground Game
Underground?
or
No,
something
that's
like that. It has a shoe as the logo. I know Z fairly well and was like somewhat
National
associated with
Ground
her.
Game. Okay, National
National
Ground
Ground
Game
Game, yeah.
versus digital.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see.
And then she has another one that's Soul something. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, I just don't know
Yeah.
if you have a group like that and you're trying to be. Do you see what I mean though? Where it's like just like imagine you're a random person getting involved in politics and you see these groups and you're like, oh, they're college Democrats, and you slowly get walked into like the DSA, for example. It probably makes it less likely you're gonna leave. Like I used to be in that kind of group when I was like 18 or 19, and if I was being called a cancer that had to be cut out of the party, I would not be the like pragmatic liberal I am today. And that's my big fear, is that Destiny's community is like, he's making it so impossible to grow what he's trying to do with that rhetoric.
But don't you think the main thing is to, so when you say that most people are not like really entrenched in the politics and these sorts of things, don't you think the goal should be to stigmatize it then, so that they're not capable of growing? And even the people who don't have their entire identity attached to this sort of organization or these sorts of labels, whether socialists or communists or whatever, that those people are going to be more affected by the stigmas than they will be by just like some sort of education on it or whatever it is that you're advocating for. I'm not
It
even sure what it is.
depends how you do it, because if you're advocating for issues like supporting Democrats, being pro-America, being pro-liberal democracy and debate, that can be effective. But when you use words like cancer and you make a group be labeled as I don't know, tankies or whatever word you want to use, that actually, there's a lot of psychological and political science study that would say that that rhetoric actually grows group identity, makes them less likely to leave their group,
More
and more
identity,
likely to
yeah.
become deeper.
But we're
Yeah,
talking,
but
yes, but we're talking about people who don't have this identity. Where you're making it sound like these are people who don't like really identify with these groups. They just like what they hear and just start associate with them.
you better brush up on your facts if you're going to talk to D. Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean what I'm saying is not factual. For Paradox, my little chat debate partner. But yeah, like, it's hard because there's only X amount of the population that's going to be involved, deeply involved in politics, to the extent where they want to organize, want to be involved in it, and want to talk about it all of the time. And I'm just saying, from my own perspective, when I was in a position where I was listening to Kyle Kulinski and Jimmy Dore, and I was listening to like all these different people, and I was like a Bernie or Buster in like 2019, 2020, but I broke out of it by listening to reasonable arguments that appealed to Joe Biden winning over Trump and, reducing damage for Americans and making sure we don't have authoritarianism take over the country. Any argument about like, it's a cancer that must be cut out, it's just very demeaning towards people, and it makes it less likely that we're going to have people change their minds, and we don't have an endless supply of young people who want to be involved in politics. And I don't want them to be radicalized by Hassan, who can be like, I just want healthcare for everybody, because they can come out and just be mask on with it, and we're mask off 24/7 because we're like honest and telling the truth or whatever. But we have to be a little bit welcoming for people to change. Like, people don't have a fully thought out communist ideology at the age of 20 when they join the DSA. They just like Zoran Mamdani, and I don't want to make them more fall deeper into that trap.
I don't know. I think that like it I do believe in people playing different roles. And this is like something that I'm constantly talking about. And I do think that like Destiny's going a little bit too hard when he's going after anybody who's like slightly more amenable to those sorts of people and what they believe, because I think that those are the people, like somebody like Pisco or Josiah. I don't know that they're going to be people who are, brought into the party versus people who are more likely going to like de-radicalize these people more or, pull them back more. Because he doesn't seem to agree with like a lot of the actual prescriptions that somebody like Pisco doesn't agree with a lot of the prescriptions that make the DSA, more extreme compared to actual Democrats. So I don't, but I do think that somebody actually being loud and vocal about how bad they think the DSA is and how much they don't want them to be like more common representatives. I think that has to start early. I think that that's like a lot of people are comparing this to the Tea Party for the Republicans and how that led to Trump, and that if they had not just ignored them and kept thinking that they were never going to do anything and had tried to nip them in the bud much earlier, that they probably could have stopped the populist movement within their party growing so quickly.
I don't know. I mean, Republicans have Christian cultism. They already had a cult mentality. I think it was pretty easy to grow out of their idolatry,
But they had
their
been
nature of worship.
neocons for a while. Like they had been kind of anti any sort of alternative movements for a long time. It was the Tea Party that drastically changed that.
I don't. I think like I don't know. On the left, like we've had movements like this, and like an Obama was able to capture. Like, even right now, like James Tallarico and Ossoff, they get credit from like Kyle Kalinske, like a lot of credit for just saying top versus bottom over and over again. It's all a populist slop, but people
Yeah.
people do think like that. That's how Trump gets away with, like, you know, getting wins and whatever else. And I think Zoran, like, there's a whole discussion about he's not getting as much stuff done as people think. Like I saw Hutch posting about it, like, oh, you know, he actually had to move money from this pension fund, and he had to, like, you know, the governor did this policy and let him take credit and blah blah blah. But it's a good political lesson in how you take credit for things, and Joe Biden did the opposite. So I think we can fight off what's happening here, and the Hassans of the world. If like it is a moderate candidate for president, we know that AOC is going to endorse them. We know she's going to. We know Bernie's going to endorse them because they already have done this over and over again. We know Elizabeth Warren and all these people are going to endorse them. We know Zoran Mamdani is now on record multiple times saying any Democrat is a Democrat.
Power. But AOC
Yeah.
also just got 4 fucking people.
But we're
elected
talking
to
about the
New York
media. She
legislature
did not
from the
endorse them.
DSA.
She didn't endorse them. AOC did not
Yes, she
endorse any of
did.
them.
Yes, she
AOC did not endorse. Do you think she endorsed Daria Eliza?
Hold on.
Daria Eliza?
Hold on. I said to the New York State Legislature.
Oh wait, I don't
not
care
to
about that.
Congress.
I thought you meant Daria Eliza.
No. Hold on. Hold on. So the whole thing was about how they were able to break up Mamdani and AOC were able to break up their endorsements to not upset the establishment. Mamdani is, you know, he's in the state. He doesn't want to upset the governor. He doesn't want to upset the assembly. He doesn't want to upset the chambers. He doesn't want to upset them. So he nominated people who were outside of his thing in federal elections, and he endorsed those people for those positions in Congress, right? Whereas AOC, she's in Congress. She can't upset the establishment in Congress, so she went and endorsed the people for the state assembly. They are working on doing the things that they want to do anyways, just in ways so that they don't upset the people within their groups. They are doing literally the same exact thing either way. They're just doing it a smarter way.
AOC did not endorse Graham Plattner. AOC, again, was the strongest defender of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. She has a track record of supporting Democrats over Republicans. And when Zoran and AOC and Bernie say, hey, if you're a Democrat, you're a Democrat. If you win the primary, we're going to support you versus MAGA. And if there's a moderate in 2028 and Zoran and Bernie and AOC all endorse that moderate,
this is not a good
then
argument.
when they all endorsed that moderate, that's what you use as a flashpoint. If Hassan doesn't, it's not going to be a huge revelation at any point, but you can slowly peel people off. That's how I was peeled off from them, because I saw, what the hell, Jimmy Dore doesn't want to vote Biden over Trump. Wow, that's not good for anybody. That's really weird. Why is Jimmy Dore saying that? Then I realized how bad Jimmy Dore was. The same thing can happen for a lot of Hassan fans when all of, you know, the Bernies and AOCs and Zorans vote for the moderate and they endorse the moderate candidate in 2028 from the Democrats. Even if Kamala wins, we know that Zoran's going to endorse her. Then we can do the same thing with Hassan and them and peel some people off. It's going to be happening over and over again. But those are the flashpoints where we pull people away. When things become real with elections and the commentators can't run from reality anymore. Everything else is just a bitch fest, to be honest.
It's not true. So they are endorsing people because, like, right now, when I talked to Josiah the other day, the thing that he kept repeating over and over is, well, the DSA candidates, people like AOC and Mamdani, they moderated. Tom. So why are you guys afraid of DAC what?
I'd say Daria Eliza.
No. Fuck, I keep almost saying DNC every time I want to say Democratic.
DAC, the really
DSA.
bad one.
So DSA.
Oh, never mind.
He's saying like with DSA candidates, they're going to come in and they're going to moderate as well. And I keep saying, yes, that's the whole fucking point. Literally the goal of DSA, the reason it exists, the whole game plan for DSA is to have a more moderate version of socialism, to actually be able to get into politics, to be able to compete with actual Democrats, and then over time to be able to keep endorsing DSA candidates, to keep filling up the seats, to keep moving the needle more and more. You're saying, hey, while the establishment is the establishment, they're willing to endorse the establishment. Yeah, no duh. While continuing to try to fill other seats with more DSA candidates so that eventually they don't have to endorse the establishment people because they're not worried about upsetting them anymore. Or, establishment, the DSA would be the establishment at that point. But like, corporate Democrats, liberal, whatever you want to call it. But like, that's the whole point of their existence.
Why am I worried about some random plus 50 districts in New York City when they have no competition anywhere else in the entire country? I just don't get why this is a focus.
26 seats.
In what?
New York has 26 seats. Obviously,
yeah, New York, sure, and like Mississippi has like their entire state KKK members. I really don't. Like, yeah, that's not my big concern right now. I care about the national political environment and the executive branch of the federal government and writing that in. And if that takes having Abdullah Syed, I know, but I'm talking about like we need things to happen very soon to reform the system. And if we need some DSA dipshits to come in and yell at Democrats to have more populist language to fend them off, in a competitive way, I think that's fine. I really don't. They're not going to take over the party. They're incompatible with America. They would not even be winning if we had reasonable moderates running against them who weren't just like dumbasses who don't even want to run, who weren't who are in politics their entire lives. I just don't think like the idea of the online environment might be a little bit different, but in real politics, like I'm not worried whatsoever about the DSA taking over. Like I know what their goals are, but again, the DSA, their membership, the foundation of their membership is very flimsy. It's barely even real. The DSA they haven't endorsed AOC for a year. She doesn't even talk to them. She shit talks the left and how
again
she shit talks yeah, exactly. Okay, so the national DSA, I thought that's the one that like people cared about.
Yes, to an extent.
And they don't endorse AOC.
Yes, I don't think that most people understand that distinction. When you have a bunch of people who are coming in who are DSA, and again, like the thing that I keep bringing up is the video that I saw on all over TikTok of a bunch of people watching Mike Johnson read off the national DSA agenda, and he's reading the whole thing of like abolishing the Senate, abolishing borders, all this shit, right? And making all corporations, nationalizing all corporations, like all of these people all over the fucking like TikTok and everything, calling themselves liberals, were saying, wow, Mike Johnson's doing ad reads for the DSA. This is an ad read for them. Everybody hears this and they love them. Everybody hears this shit and they're super happy that the DSA is finally coming into the Democrat Party and starting to take over. These are people who call themselves fucking liberals saying that he's doing an ad read for the DSA because they think that abolishing the Senate and abolishing the the electoral college and abolishing borders, this all sounds fucking great. This is all liberals would want this shit. Like that's what I'm seeing on the internet. That's what I'm seeing as like people who call themselves liberals, what it is that they want, what it is that they're in favor of. And that's what I'm thinking of as you're sitting here talking about, like, there's no reason to think that they would ever take over. They have higher approval ratings than the Democrats. And while we're talking about the national DSA being the ones who are the crazy, scary people when it comes to elections, they're not as important. I agree. But when it comes to normalizing the national DSA and their agenda, that's already happening. It's happening right now.
My big concern with Democrats is that, like, Zohran Mamdani would not even be possible if the Democratic establishment, or whatever you want to call it, could support like a Brad Lander instead of a sex pest and Andrew Cuomo. Like, the Plattners of the world would not be possible if the Democrats did not support a 90-year-old like freshman senator candidate in Janet Mills. In Wisconsin right now,
No,
that
we can
Francesca
walk and chew
Francesca
gum at the same
Hong.
time.
No, but like this is the issue though. Francesca Hong is like, she interviewed with freaking Central Committee, like Mike from PA. That shit is pathetic. Like that's sad. And she is leading for Wisconsin governor because the establishment there could not get around one candidate, and now they forced out Mandela Barnes, and they're going with this Crowley guy who no one really likes around the state. So she's probably going to be the candidate. So I feel like the DSA is almost necessary to kick us in the ass and make sure we're effective all throughout the country. We need to fix this stuff. We can't have 50-year incumbents who don't want to campaign anymore, who don't want to understand modern media environments, who don't want to work, being comfortable. I think the DSA, I'm fine with them competing in these areas for that reason. We got to get better, even in safe blue seats. Like they should not be winning anywhere. They should not have a chance to win. The Democrats have let go of the game.
Yeah, but even if I give you that, it still doesn't change the fact that I still think that it's necessary to advocate against these sorts of people while they are,
Advocate against. See, this is an issue where it's going to be one of those dumb conversations where I talk to Destiny, and like it's going to be like, hey, I understand your goal, but don't call everybody a cancerous tumor that we have to cut out, and don't use rape analogies to talk to everybody. That's going to be the entire conversation. I'm going to say that he barely pays attention to national politics. He barely even knows anything about these races he's commenting on. Like if you talk to him about like the Wisconsin race, he barely even knows the candidates' names. Meanwhile, I'm studying them all the time. Like I've heard him talk about like, oh, I heard about this like Jackson guy, Plattner. I don't know much about them, but I guess he's okay if he's a Democrat. Like Destiny does not pay attention to the organizing on the ground that's happening within the changes in this race. Like, oh, is Zoran one? I just checked him out yesterday. Destiny will say it's just like he's paying attention to politics only through the view of Hassan Piker and Hassan's reactions, and he only knows about candidates if they campaign with Hassan, which is not a healthy way to view it. So that's going to be the whole conversation we talk to.
Again, the most popular streamer. I don't like it when people do this thing where, like, obviously, Hassan is not swaying national elections by himself, but even like you engaging with Destiny, right? And you going and arguing with Destiny, or you tweeting out like how dumb Destiny is and what it is he's saying, like that's similar. And then Pisco and all of these people doing, day after day fucking streams and Twitter spaces about what it is that Destiny's saying about the DSA and fighting against the DSA. Like all of these people are all talking about this because that's the ecosystem that they exist in, just the same as Destiny is part of a space where Hassan is the biggest political streamer in the fucking world. And so it's like we're all reacting to the things that are within our space and in an area that we actually have the ability to influence.
It's just like, yeah, it's what do you think of the clip of Destiny where he's like, if AOC might do a communist revolution, then we should choose, I don't know, it might be 55-45 JD Vance. And like JD Vance, Destiny said that JD Vance has better economic policies possibly than AOC. Did you see that clip?
I was watching it as it happened. I was literally on the stream, like right.
Okay, what did you think? So you have context. Do you have context for me?
Okay, so the point that was talking about is part of what I'm talking about, where the he was even like initially he was saying that he would vote for AOC because he thinks that she's a very different sort of person versus like the other DSA candidates that we're talking about. But he's wrong, because his distinction between AOC and Mamdani was that Mamdani actually is advocating in endorsing other DSA candidates, helping them get into elected positions, and that as he's doing this, they are like, this is helping normalize the DSA, helping the DSA gain prominence, helping them get donations, helping them be like more popular and more common within the Democrat Party. He doesn't know that AOC got more DSA candidates elected to the New York Assembly. But the point that he was making is that if it comes time to where she would win presidency, the thing that I think would happen at that point, like, again, so the whole fucking point of the DSA existing, her being part of the DSA means she's likely on board with the whole fucking point that it exists, is you would run for president, win, and then run as an incumbent as part of a DSA party instead of as a Democrat. Like, that is the process in which you change parties and change powers. That is the whole That's the whole fucking game. And so at that point, yeah, I think even I might be against AOC and more in favor of somebody like JD Vance if I'm thinking, oh, so this is like the point where they want to get rid of the Democrat Party, they want to see its demise. That's the thing that happens to see its demise. That is it.
I feel like that's just, it seems like very conspiratorial thinking when we know that JD Vance is a part of a conspiracy.
It's their fucking platform. It's not a conspiracy. What do you mean?
The idea that AOC has been doing a fake moderation scheme for the past like 5 years to purposely make America more socialist, and she's like re-upping her foreign policy credentials to be like very pro-America, to be pro like. But she's not a part of the DSA though. Bernie's not a part of the DSA. They support some candidates, but they're not a part of the DSA.
No. Bernie isn't. She is.
AOC has not been involved with them for a very long time. No. They condemn her constantly.
The national DSA.
They condemn AOC constantly.
And the national DSA.
Every progressive condemns AOC constantly, all right? Crystal Ball does, Kyle Kalinske does, all right? And Hassan's like, you know, sometimes she upsets me, which is the most he'll do because he needs his clout. But, like, they still condemn her all the time for her stance on American foreign policy, for her moderation in supporting Kamala by saying Kamala is tirelessly working for a ceasefire. Like, I just don't think that... I don't know. Do you think Joe Biden is just stupid for working with Bernie and AOC so much and being close with them? I feel like Bernie and AOC actually want to make change that's good for people. I don't think they would crash America just to benefit the DSA. Because if that was the truth, then I think Bernie would not have done 40 events for Hillary Clinton in 2016.
So, again, the national DSA is the DSA that has not been endorsing AOC for the last couple of elections, though she is still part of the national DSA. And is part of the NYC DSA chapter. So this is like when we're talking about the DSA, the whole point of its existence, the whole fucking game plan, the things that they literally are putting out there publicly as their goals. You're calling these things conspiratorial, that this is wild. Like, who would think that this is just she's just faking being moderate? That's the whole fucking point. Yes. And we know that from the way that she came in and the way that she was initially like going at everybody, that she was a lot more radical, but it doesn't seem like any of her beliefs changed, any of her ideology changed. She just got better at how to play the fucking game. There's no way that you think that she actually changed, that she's not the Green New Deal AOC anymore.
I mean, yeah, she stopped taking those positions. She moderated on a bunch of positions when it comes to like even supporting more economic policies.
Stop talking about those positions.
There's a lot of changes in AOC's rhetoric and the way she handles herself and the way she selects interviews, and the left has felt left out of it. Because for me to believe what you're saying, I would have to disregard Bernie Sanders' entire career. If that is Bernie Sanders' goal, why would he drop out of primaries and not just take it to the bitter end to help Democrats lose?
He's not part of the DSA.
So you think that Bernie Sanders supports AOC, but AOC has completely different goals from Bernie Sanders, and AOC supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but she has completely different goals from them as well, I guess?
I think that
she wants to collapse the party.
Yes, I think that Bernie Sanders would rather a DSA-like party versus a Democrat party. He runs as an independent, obviously, so he doesn't unless he's running for president, but he doesn't like the Democrat Party as it's currently structured either, and doesn't really identify as a Democrat. He coalitions with not coalitions, he votes with them. But yes, I do think that he would rather have a DSA like party overall than the Democrat Party, though he obviously has a lot of disagreements with caucus. He caucuses with the Democrats, but obviously he has a lot of disagreements with the DSA. I'm not denying that at all. He's much better on immigration and like prison and shit like that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I know even like Kamala Harris, you know, like wasn't her dad like a Marxist professor, and she was basically a Marxist, and like Obama was very radical in college and throughout his 20s, but they were very radical in their upbringing, and before they got into politics, they were kind of radical. Then the realism of being in political elected office smacked them in the face. And like Zoran Mamdani, even like, why do you think he kept like Jessica Tish as leader of the NYPD?
Because again, I agree that they are moderating as part of like a as I said, I've said numerous times, like I agree they are moderating, that this is like the only way that they can actually get things done is by moderating, and that they're trying not to offend different groups. So he's still like playing nice with the governor. He's still trying not to offend the governor by endorsing the wrong people. Like I've already said all of these things. So I agree he is doing this shit. But again, these are in furtherance of more long-term goals, and I don't know how you deny that when it's like, why be part of? Why would they be in the party?
Because in my opinion,
disagree with the long-term goals. Why would?
Because I think
just a fucking Democrat then.
I think AOC. Because I think AOC joined the DSA. I think she's further to the left than Democrats. She knows the DSA is too radical. That's why she doesn't do much with them for American politics. She wants to be a bridging connection between the establishment and the DSA, and she wants to use the DSA and populist energy as leverage to say to the establishment or the center of the party, like, hey, I can be the uniter. I can unite the energy and also maintain the system sort of as is. That seems to be the way that AOC is positioning. And in America, I'm much more afraid. Someone said I don't think fascists and communists are the same threat. They're not the same threat whatsoever in America. America, the foundation of America is rooted in white Christian nationalism. Like that is, if America is ever gonna, and this has been theorized forever. If you read the book like It Can't Happen Here by like what's his name, Sinclair Lewis or some shit. Like every book about American fascism is about the American flag being draped around with Christianity and the cult-like mentality of nationalism and Christianity rising up, and even evangelism, and like evangelicals rising up and finding their deity and their great populist leader. And America in general is always going to be more right-leaning. That's why the default setting for American leaders is Republican, unless if shit gets messed up and then they got to elect a Democrat to fix it. But the default is going to be white man, Christian white man, whatever, leading in charge. That is a much bigger threat to any of us than left-wing communism. Like even the Democratic Party would shut that down very quickly. And the progression of, we have JD Vance as vice president and Elon Musk ripping through our entire government. Elon Musk, who literally is a Nazi, posting white supremacist shit all freaking day, ripping through. We have Jack Poso bitch, who wrote a book called Inhumans or Unhuman about liberals, which is basically Mein Kampf about like liberals not being humans and us being disgusting, depraved creatures that need to be tortured and put in a prison. These people are in control of our government, and all of our data has been wiped by Musk and probably sent to a server in freaking China and Russia. We have full integration, and someone sent me a super chat. Thank you. I think it's Australian. It's I think it's Australia. I'm stupid. But like, we are still not fully collapsed as a system. And we are getting close to being there. But fascism is 99% or 90% ingrained in our system already. And the idea that JD Vance in any like timeline would ever be like more of a threat than AOC is freaking stupid. Unless if you're like imagining a completely different world that does not exist. It's just a dumb hypothetical. It's just,
again, nobody thinks that, I don't think anybody thinks that JD Vance would be a better candidate, or that he would be like his term would be better for America. It's again, we're talking about the long-term goals. Like Donald Trump right now, his presidency, we all know, and this has been talked about since he first got in 2016, is that this is not a Donald Trump issue. Like Donald Trump is an issue, but he is not just a Donald Trump issue. He is a reshaping of the Republican Party in American politics in a way that we're not going to be able to course correct for a very long time. Like the likelihood of what comes out of the Trump presidency is Christian nationalism, and everybody is just bracing for that to be next. We're talking about the long-term outcomes from what it is that we're dealing with right now. And again, if the Republicans could, they would have done everything they could to nip every other populist movement that led to Donald Trump in the butt before it got to this.
yeah, just like, I mean, I would agree if America was going to become a communist. Like, it's just made up, though. It's just like not real about there's
I'm
nothing.
not saying it's going to become a communist. Like, but I again,
That hypothetical
I'm
is not real. It's not a real hypothetical. I don't even know why he said that. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like in a
I don't know
completely
what to
different
tell you.
world where America has a different history and America is leaning towards Stalinism. Oh no, are we gonna elect AOC to lead us into Stalinism? It's like that's not happening. And that's like that's a video game. That's like we're playing Homefront or some shit, and America's being
Yeah, I
invaded.
don't
It's
think-
like what the
Well, so, okay,
and it's
hold
like
on.
okay, AOC
Wait,
tries her Green New
wait.
Deal. We have too many solar panels versus we have ICE agents who are fully masked, knocking down our doors and raping our kids. It's like
Okay, first off, one of the things that like is an issue with the DSA is that initially, and I've talked about this a bunch of times, that like initially they had rules against more radical, extreme communists being part of their movement. That any sort of like sign of authoritarianism was immediately rooted out. They had rules against you being a communist in the DSA. They literally kicked you out if they thought that you were one of those people, because that, again, the point of the fucking movement was to not have that sort of politics in their movement. They literally voted to get rid of those rules about 5-6 years ago, and since then the campists, the Marxist Leninists, the anarcho communists, like a lot of these people have been seeping in and creating more and more waves within the DSA and creating more problems. And so the DSA currently is trending in that direction. They are not that right now. They are not like, communists. They're not Stalinists or any of that shit right now overall. But portions, when we're talking about the national DSA, that is very different from what the majority of the people are talking about when they say that they're part of the DSA. They're part of the national DSA, but they have a way more activity within their local chapters, and their local chapters are what normally dictate their endorsements, their platforms, their ideology. Like the local chapters are a lot more important than the national DSA. The problem is the national DSA is the thing that is gaining prominence right now. It is the thing that is gaining donations. It is the thing that is gaining normalization right now. It's the national DSA that's getting that, not the local.
I think we're
chapters.
helping them get that though. I think we're boosting their numbers, to be honest.
Bro, come on. Like when you say we, like they're all over Fox News on a fucking daily basis.
Yeah, I mean the coverage on Fox News of Democrats has not changed at all as a result of DSA. Now they have people who are actually that way, but their viewers already believe that. I really don't care about that. Now with moderate voters, they get scared off by pronouns and land acknowledgments and transgender athletes and affordability. So like those issues are what we focus on for swing voters. The Fox News people, their brains are mush anyway. So I don't care about that. I care about making sure. I care that we make sure has Destiny done any rants on Max Miller beating the freak out of his wife and beating his daughter, who is the granddaughter and daughter of Moreno, who's a Republican senator. We have Max Miller, a Republican congressman, beating the shit out of a Republican senator. Have we talked about that at all? Or are we just going to cower in fear like, oh no, the DSA makes us look bad, when the Republicans are just beating and raping kids out the wazoo and they're making rules for us? Like we should be focusing on that with most of our time. I just don't think the DSA could ever, like, we have to respond with offense. I'm sick of playing defense over a 50-year incumbent losing to Daria Eliza, who's just gonna be an annoying member of Congress for 2 years before someone beats her.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about wanting to get into positions where we're actually playing offense.
Destiny doesn't even know what the primaries are right now. He's focusing on Hassan and whatever in his mentions. Okay, does anyone who watches Destiny, if you watch Destiny a lot in chat, can you please let me know if he's been talking about Max Miller at all? Have you heard him talk about Max Miller?
I don't watch Destiny. So
anyone in chat who does watch him, has you talked about Max Miller? You don't think he brought up Max Miller? Let's see, that's one only though. Someone might have maybe I'll ask him tomorrow if he's talked about him yet. Because that's like, when it comes to, and Destiny always talked about like media unification and us like all messaging on the same thing. It's like, why is he not joining me and Adam Mockler and Brian Tyler Cohen talking about him? I'm trying to find on Destiny's channel if he's talked about Max Miller yet. Let me see. Destiny.
I just, again, I think this is ridiculous framing.
It's all about what is our main priority in the moment. If you think like Hutch, for example, Hutch dedicated his entire channel to just going after the left.
Trump.
So like if that's what you're saying, no, Hutch's entire channel, he even said it
Hutch.
himself.
Sorry.
Hutch, yeah, Hutch, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hutch goes after just the far left. Josiah goes after just Trump. So if Destiny wants to do what Hutch is doing, that's fine, but
I feel like everything that I say, like you just kind of like move to like, well, this is my real issue instead of like, if your issue is something that's totally separate from what it is that everybody else is talking about, it's just not going to land in any meaningful way. If you're just like, well, my issue is on a totally separate topic. I'm not saying you guys are wrong about any of this shit. And I'm not saying that you're doing the wrong thing according to what you want and according to what your goals are. I'm just giving this more like overview, zoomed out version of things that doesn't really affect what your goals are. I don't know what the
if Destiny's goal is he sees Hassan growing in influence and he wants more influence for liberals and less influence for people like Hassan, then what he's doing, talking about the entirety of college Democrats being poison and the entirety of every single DSA member being a cancer, then that is going to hurt the goal of recruiting people away from the radical side to being liberals and being pragmatic Democrats. That's the entire point of what I'm saying, is that people like Destiny make us look like antisocial idiots in this conversation. I don't know how that's not related to this whatsoever. And if you just think that's not a problem, then your goal is not really beating Hassan, it's being mad at Hassan. Like, you could be mad at Hassan and yell at him and whatever, then, but do you want to use effective propaganda?
Hassan, no. Again, Hassan, do you think Hassan is like drastically affecting national politics in any real meaningful way?
Drastically. That moderate Democrats want him to affect, like they want to use him as a boogeyman. It's not really working very well, I don't think. But I mean, he's been in the news a decent amount, but not like dramatically.
Well, I just mean even for the things that he wants. Like, I don't think that in national news, in national politics, Destiny or Hassan or any of these people are actually like big players in the overall game.
Well, in Michigan, I saw a few moderate Democrats in Michigan said they will not support Abdul because he campaigned with Hassan. So there's some moderates saying they will not support Abdul as a result of Hassan.
Like it exists. Obviously, Cuomo went after Mamdani for, his association with Hassan, and Mamdani his engagement with Hassan has continued to be kind of like a black eye on his campaign. It's like one of the few things that Democrats actually criticize him for. But I feel like it's not ridiculous that when people are engaging in politics and they're like looking at their own game plans and what it is that they want to do and how they want to effectuate the world, I think that focusing on the space that you exist in and influencing that space and influencing those people who are in that space, this is not like an odd thing to me whatsoever. And Hassan is, again, the biggest streamer in this space. So when you keep doing this, like, oh, but on the national stage, like focusing on Hassan is so stupid. Sure, on the national stage, but even Hassan isn't affecting the national stage. Hassan is not going after Hassan is never a national thing. It's not that's never part of the frame of mind when going after Hassan.
I don't think Hassan was mentioned much in the conversation that like Pisco and Destiny and Hutch and Josiah had. I'm not sure if Hassan was the main topic there, really. It was more about the DSA.
You're the one who keeps saying that Destiny's focus is going after Hassan. You're the one who keeps saying this, and I'm saying,
oh yeah, his is definitely.
But yes, but I'm saying that like when we're talking about what it is that you're actually trying to affect and what it is you're trying to do, how you're trying to influence people, that like going after Hassan and Hassan's types of politics or Hassan types of ideology, Hassan beliefs, that's just not ridiculous at all. That seems pretty like normal and obvious.
I do have things to bring this conversation back to, but my phone is dead, so I can't really access them. I have to plug it in. I'm gonna plug it in really quick.
So we agree that the DSA taking over, like, that would be a bad thing, right? Again, you just don't think that they're capable of doing so.
No, and they've gotten the only win they've gotten is Zoran, in my opinion.
In AOC.
Only influential win. I don't see AOC as a win for DSA in terms of the dark DSA mission to take over the entire party. I don't see that as a win for them. Like the super radicals that want no borders whatsoever. No, I don't see AOC as a win for them. They probably see her as like a electoral reformist who is ruining their imminent goal of a true revolution with their vanguard party, because she's gonna satiate the masses with like a better social safety net. They probably think AOC is like an enemy to them, to be honest.
Sure. Do you think they're normalizing terms like socialism?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say. They are normalizing the term socialism, but I feel like, and you could tell me if you think this is wrong, but I think that socialism is being popularized because they view socialism as Bernie Sanders and healthcare, and they view capitalism as Elon Musk and child rape.
I agree, but that's okay. So this is exactly my issue. Exactly. Okay. So they're normalizing terms like socialism, right? And when they think of socialism, they just think of the government does stuff, right? That's socialism to them. Free healthcare is socialism, right? Police is socialism. The fact that that is socialism to them, and that now being a socialist is a normal thing, advocating for socialism is a normal thing. Socialists, Democrat Party has tons of socialists. This to me is like a major negative, that people think that socialism is a good thing, to where now when the more radical, real fucking socialists come along, that they think they're all the fucking same. They think that those are people who just want the government to do stuff.
Yeah, and here's the point where I am trying to make a point here. Here's where I'm trying to make a point where I want to be a progressive off-ramp for those people. So when they think they like socialism, but when the actual socialists come, then they could say like, oh shit, not that kind of thing. Like I want like what Bernie said, and I want to be the off-ramp for them so they could become normal, Democrats who are just more to the left and social Democrats rather than democratic socialists. And I think if we take all those people that you just said who think they like socialism, but they actually probably don't, but they might be radicalized. And my problem with like Destiny's rhetoric and that call with the, Josiah, Pisco, and Hutch is that calling them all cancer makes it more likely that we reject them, and it makes it easier for socialists to radicalize them. In the same way, it makes it harder to like de-radicalize white people if we have a bunch of like SJWs calling them toxic men with like white supremacists and shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I see this as, like almost like the alt-right pipeline happening, where things are slowly normalized, especially rhetoric is slowly normalized around people, to where they are slowly going to be radicalized into different groups because these sorts of things become very.
And my comparison there would be like, my comparison here would be when everyone freaked out. Remember when everyone freaked out at I think of two things. So number one, the OK symbol being a white supremacist dog whistle, and also PewDiePie being called a Nazi. I think those freakouts and overcorrections.
But I think they were wrong.
Yeah, and it's also wrong. It's also wrong to call every single person who says they think they're a socialist or they think they like socialism over capitalism today. It's wrong to say they're all communists, because they're not. They just think they mean Bernie Sanders and AOC. They don't think it means Hassan and Tankies. So in the same way, like people might be involved in playing games with a bunch of racist people, but they don't like white supremacy. But if you call them all white supremacists, they might actually become that eventually. In the same way, right now,
them all communists.
Destiny called them all cancers in the party if they associate with DSA or socialism at all.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that they are communists. That means that they're going to lead.
Yes, and calling them cancer makes it more likely they become communist, in the same way that calling these dumb white kids racist during Gamergate makes them more likely to be racist. But yes, he is, because they're not communists yet. They're not communists yet.
But he didn't say they're communist. He didn't say.
He called them a cancer. They're not a cancer yet.
Oh my goodness.
They're not a cancer yet. They're people who are being radicalized unknowingly because they think they're signing up for something different. And I don't want them to be a cancer.
Smoke cigarettes. It's okay. Go smoke cigarettes. Go smoke 10 packs a day. Because
if you approach a cigarette smoker and you call them a disgusting shitbag, they're probably not going to quit. But if you show them some empathy and help them along, they might actually quit someday. Yeah, it's the same concept there. It's showing people you hate them versus showing them you're open to them being in your community someday.
I don't disagree with that sort of thing happening. I don't disagree with that being a thing that exists. I don't disagree with people doing that as like them playing their part. But I also don't disagree with somebody going hard and actually making clear what's what. I think that everybody has to play their part, and that while people are being, sucked down the alt-right pipeline and a bunch of different terms are being normalized for them, there still has to be a bunch of other people who are still stigmatizing neo-Nazis in the meantime, so that they're not capable of continuing to grow or continuing to recruit people as easily. Like Nick Fuentes getting pushed offline. A lot of people keep using this as like, because he got pushed off and now he has to go on Cozy TV in order to get any sort of platform. This has actually helped him grow. Sure, it's helped him grow in the small, minute amount of people who are going to happen upon to Cozy TV. But that's still a very small amount of people who are going to hear that message in the first place. Obviously, it's different now that he's on like, Twitter and different platforms. But I'm saying while he's not on those platforms, it's a lot harder for people to even hear his voice when he's getting censored as much as he is. I'm saying that yes, if you already make it clear that like these people are a more radical group and that people don't have this positive view of, oh, they're just the Mamdani AOC people. That's what they are. I love Mamdani and AOC.
Do you think
Everybody
that
loves Mamdani and AOC? That's the thing that you're trying to combat, is that Mamdani and AOC are cool, but the DSA is not.
Okay, so it's hard, and I think someone in the comments just made a good point that there is a difference between like a socialist who does believe in liberal democracy versus a full-on communist, and it's again the grouping. If I call every white boy that says some microaggressions and something insensitive, like if I call them racist, there's a good chance they're going to be deeply ingrained in that. In the same way, if I find a socialist and I call them a communist cancer, they'll probably become more ingrained in that direction as well, because they're not going to kick those socialists out. I just want to have that bridge open and not burn that bridge completely. But yes, I just don't.
In that analogy, in that analog, the problem is that for socialists, the people might know the big difference between a socialist and a fucking, Marxist, Leninist, communist or something like that. But they don't know the difference between a socialist who wants the government to do stuff and a socialist who wants to own the means of production. We're still
I would guess
terminology here. And they do not know the distinctions there.
I wonder what % of voters knows the difference between Leninism and Stalinism and Marxism, and I wonder what % of voters even knows that in totality. I really don't think it's more than 1%.
I don't think they know the distinction. I think they know that those are bad.
But these people do.
I think they know that it's bad to be like a Marxist Leninist. I think they know it's bad to be an anarcho-communist or whatever. I don't think they know it's bad to be a socialist who wants to own the means of production. I don't think they know that. And so that's what I'm saying, is that in your analog, it's not good enough, because these people were using the term socialism for both of these. And in one group is they just want the government to do stuff, and the other one, they want the workers to own the fucking means of production. Like, these are very drastic differences.
Do you agree or disagree with, like, I think you agree with like the broad generalization, because the example I used of myself when I was receptive to Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske in college, like a young Democrat, and if I would have talked to Destiny first instead of hearing other commentators who were more just like, talking about values and why we should vote for Joe Biden over Trump when I was going to be a non-voter that year because I was so radicalized during COVID or whatever. If I would have heard Destiny first calling me a cancer, because, the way I viewed what I was a part of was just like, oh, they want healthcare here, because I was still under that impression, under that trap. And, having a more reasonable argument about voting for Biden helped me reveal that the people I was working with were crazy. And that gave me a good ramp off to be a more, effective to become more of like a liberal or like a social democrat. Do you agree with that or not? Like with the rhetoric that Destiny uses about cancer and makes like it doesn't seem to provide that. Like if someone comes
how
in
did
and says
Destiny
like,
how did Destiny get famous? Like what is it that what is it that he was known for as like the online guy? Why did he get big?
talk fast, edgy,
He was the guy
hyperbole.
who was de-radicalizing the alt-right.
Oh, yeah, he stopped doing that.
I was the guy who was the alt-right pipeline. He was the guy who was saying, "You guys are a bunch of fucking
Do you
neo-Nazis,
think
white
that like
nationalist pieces of shit." And I'm sitting there listening to him like, "This guy's a fucking idiot." But then over time, I'm still listening to him thinking, "Ah, shit. He's actually right about a lot of this shit." Like
do you think that
the
like right wingers respond to that differently than left wingers though? Like if you come from that background, that's less likely to be offended and whatever versus like a liberal or like a leftist.
I think that the people who are online, who are running around calling everybody Zionist fucking pieces of shit who need to kill themselves, are probably not going to be super offended that easily.
Yeah, but why not just make that argument more often? And I guess
That
you
they
could say
need to
they
kill
don't
themselves.
debate. No, yeah. I guess you could say they don't debate people, but like, how do you let Hassan viewers know, or how do you let DSA members know, or college Democrats know that that's happening in their leadership? Because that was the other conversation that annoyed me, where it was like that Shervine guy, I think, and he was saying that Destiny shouldn't decline working with the college Democrats completely, and Destiny said he was gonna decline based off their national leadership, and saying the national leadership represents everything, and it's like, well, if we wanted an opportunity to change people's minds or reach people directly, and to do it, and to make sure that we can have people in these organizations questioning themselves, so maybe they leave the organization or change it, we need to go to these places, and it just seems like there was no will in Destiny's community to even try that as a result of the people you're talking about being the representatives online. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know though, because you can argue that this space is not meant for normal people. Because if you're on the internet saying that shit, you probably are a different kind of person. So,
Well, it's not. Again, that's been the point that I've been making the whole time. Is like you're talking about normies who are out in the real world. We're talking about terminally online people who are listening to Hassan. Like these are these are very different things. And again, I don't disagree with like a lot of your logic here and what you're saying as descriptive statements. But prescriptively, one, it seems like, not to give Destiny too much fucking credit, I was not de-radicalized by Destiny or anything like that, but for it, it does seem I would never go tell him how to fucking de-radicalize people. Of like, I think I am somebody with a very large amount of information on de-radicalization and how to do it and the the psyche behind it and everything. He is one, maybe the only person I can think of that I would never go and try to talk to try to tell him how to de-radicalize people. Like I think he might be literally the only person I know of that I would not go and try to tell them how to do that thing that he was literally like fucking known for.
I think that works in the combative gamer sense, and online content. But I guess the big transitional issue is the DGG digital ground game part, where if they want to get involved in real organizing and like, I don't know, possibly changing
Well,
these
yeah,
orgs on the
and
ground in the
obviously
real
he does
world,
that.
that is the conversation that would probably that's what I want to focus on, because that's where the internet strategies are bleeding into the organizing strategies and making it less effective as a
Why
strategy
are you doing this
overall.
focus thing? Like focus. What do you mean focus? Like you can chew gum and walk at the same time. He's been the person who's been putting a lot of money into canvassing and he's built DGG. He's somebody who's like obviously thinks that the groundwork is important, but he's also a fucking content creator. Like it's and again, I'm not as much here to like talk about Destiny and what he thinks or like I Destiny has a lot of really stupid fucking opinions on this shit. So I don't want to like be here to like defend Destiny or what he thinks overall. But um
So one of the big one of the big points that I had in contention with like those types were one, reinforcing the tanky group identity, making your group more toxic to like normie progressives, but that might not be the goal to get normie progressives. But if you care about Hassan's influence, I think he's powered by normie Hassan or normie Bernie AOC viewers by my own experience, and also like you can put Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, Majority Report. You have to give some concession to as liberals, and I don't know if Pacman does this either.
Just to be clear, I used to
ones.
think that. I used to think that like Hassan's viewership was all like 50-year-old moms.
Okay.
There was polling that was done that was put out I want to say about 4 months ago that showed that like by far the majority of his audience was or I don't know if it was the majority. I think it was like 38%. I think it was the plurality. It was the biggest age group was under 18. It was like 13 to 18. Was like the plurality of his viewer base. And so I used to think that it was yeah, it says one quarter are unemployed. Like it was almost the exact opposite of what I thought it was. I thought it was like, you know, college graduates, people who were all, you know, too highfalutin for like, you know, normal everyday conversations and shit. And yeah, it turns out it is like literally the exact opposite of what anybody would ever think his audience is.
One issue I need to bring up as well in general is that post, which I think is actually it's pretty influential, of Zoran calling Netanyahu a war criminal with 10 million views on Instagram. And I know that is kind of funny because he can't really arrest Netanyahu, but he still made a spectacle out of it. But Zoran having that much pull on one social media site, I think it might be up to like 12 million likes right now, and just how much that blew up with my social circles, my organizing circles, even my non-political, like apolitical friends. If we view like DSA as a cancer, then like Zoran, AOC, and Bernie, that's quite a big, you know, a big challenge. So how do we deal with, you know, Zoran getting that many views on Instagram about Bibi Netanyahu? Like, are we just gonna hope over time those Democrats don't are not that radical on that foreign policy issue? Are we gonna hope
No,
that
again,
Zoran? Do we just have to hope that
said,
Zoran and AOC just like moderate and just like become more, you know, moderate Democrats?
no, again, I said that like we support like AOC and Mom Donnie as like you know, as they currently are, because they are way too popular and way too much influence to not do so. But like again, highly stigmatize the DSA. Like make clear that the DSA is the issue, not AOC or Mamdani in and of themselves. And now I don't know how easy that is to do when if you're saying, hey, I love these guys, also don't listen to them. Like that's a really hard fucking proposition to make. And so I don't know how realistic that is. But currently, right now, while we're in like the midterms and everything, that seems to be like the only possible move.
Do you think it's more effective? Like, let's say you are, I don't know, on CNN or on just like a panel online or something. Do you think, in terms of limiting DSA's growth and reach, do you think it's more effective to talk about DSA? Let's say there's two options. One is the option of this is a very serious issue. They are growing in our party, like you can say like a cancer or however you want to phrase it. They're growing in our party. They want to, you know, topple our party and end the party and turn it into this anti-American, pro-Chinese, pro-communist, you know, socialist party. That's the DSA's goal, and we have to talk about that. Or do you think it limits the DSA more to say like, well, the DSA barely won in the districts they did win. The moderates messed up. They couldn't find the candidate to get along with, to coalesce around. The incumbent was there 30 years. He barely campaigned, and I'm not too worried about them winning because the party doesn't represent that. They don't believe in that, and they barely won against these shitty candidates. Zoran barely won against Andrew Cuomo with all his scandals and shit. You know, the main race had no one to even run against for the progressive to beat. They just backed out of it. In Michigan, that's a, you know, you could say that's a fluke, or you could say, you know, Haley Stevens, she is a bad candidate. Do you think it's more like Which one do you think limits DSA more? Like saying they are the boogeyman in the room that we have to address right now, or saying casually, like, I don't really care. Like, we beat them. We're going to beat them again. There's one crazy person, but Republicans are far more crazy. Like, which one would you think, like, limits the DSA?
I think both.
Both at the same
It's
time?
like yeah, the problem is that, like, polling just shows a trend in the other direction. Young people don't vote very much, but these people are going to continue getting older. People generally moderate over time, but not this much. Like, we've never had this many young people identifying as socialists or saying that they like, we have, again, the majority of our fucking party right now says that they like socialism over capitalism. So we're in like a really tricky spot where we have two of the most popular Democrat politicians are both DSA people, and the the both parties are kind of splitting. Like, the right is going farther right, the left is going farther left. Meanwhile, the majority of the people aren't right or left, but they identify as independents who are centrist, and or not the majority, but the plurality, almost the majority, are independents who are willing to vote for either party, just whichever side can make the better case for them. Yet they're not going to like. If I guarantee you, if Donald Trump literally called himself a fascist, they wouldn't have voted for him, no matter what how much they agreed with his platform. He could have ran on the same exact fucking platform, but if he ran as a fascist, they would not have voted for him. And I think it's like the sort of stigma after McCarthy era politics on socialism, especially for most normies and most of most centrists and independents, that calling yourself a socialist is gonna be a pretty big negative.
I think AOC saying the quote from the other day, she said something like, "I'm not from a militant leftist household. I'm from a working class family." That rhetoric kind of leans towards the working families party that is in bigger cities. In a few different cities. So I do like that I see that turn in her rhetoric. I guess my 2 points on the DSA, what was that?
Who's AOC's?
Yeah, AOC says something like she's not a militant leftist. Like, she wants to, she might be running for president.
Yeah.
So she's trying to make a more moderate. So I think quotes like that are good, because the idealistic, academic obsessed idiots from rich parents are definitely the issue with the DSA. They're not like working class sewer socialists or whatever. Most of them are involved in the Democratic Party, just as like left, like social Democrats or whatever. I think the DSA being good is helping Democrats refine themselves, because 2026 is going to be a blowout because Trump sucks so much, but we need to refine our message for 2028. So I think they're providing like healthy competition, and also it gives Democrats a chance to differentiate, because all these Republicans and a lot of swing voters, they did believe Biden was already for open borders. They already believed Kamala was for open borders. So this gives Democrats a chance to say, no, this person in the party, we all hate her. We all hate Daria Liza. Like, we are nothing to do with her. Her being there, I think, is also, I think it can be a healthy exercise as well. And that's a House seat, so we can afford to like waste one with a crazy person. Do you agree with those points at all? And then my final thing for you before I go to bed is just, do you have any prescriptions for like what we should be doing to address the issue?
Well, first off, that person that everybody said they disagreed with, that was too extreme and that like the party disassociated with, that was AOC for a long time. Like, that was like the whole fucking squad, where Democrats were very clear that they were not associated with them, that they didn't like them. They had, what do you call it? They had like motions in Congress to condemn them and shit like that. Like, that was them. But because they moderated, and they moderated a lot because of the pressure that was put on them by.
Just to clarify really quick, AOC was not for open borders, and she was for switching ICE back to the INS.
I don't know that Daria
with that now, but well, she openly did say that in interviews as well. She wants to abolish prisons. Like, she is literally like the caricature. It's crazy how crazy she is.
Did she?
Yeah, you got to watch that one interview, man.
What interview? I've watched numerous.
With the one black host
that I've watched of her, it was. You'll have to send that to me. I did not see.
Yeah, She's like, it's a
any of
long-term
that.
plan. We're gonna abolish. We won't. She said, she's not gonna. She was asked about like eliminating all prisons, and she's like, well, ideally in the future, we won't have any need for prisons because we'll have everyone's conditions met, and no one will do crime. Like she literally gave that answer a couple weeks ago.
Wait.
It's insane.
Hold on, are you sure you're talking about Daria Lisa and not the national DSA president?
Oh no, Daria Lisa said this as well. Like no one's gonna do crime. She held back a little bit because she ran for Congress, but yeah, she's like radical. Like she's insane. I think she's the only one that's like enough to be like, no, screw her, like openly. She's the only one that's crazy enough, because even the other one that ran in New York, like she's super far left, but she's not. Like this person was like openly pro-Russia as well, Daria Lisa, versus Ukraine, saying it's America's fault and everything and Ukraine's fault. So like, yeah, she's our Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's a national DSA position as well.
Yeah.
So I watched her do a bunch of interviews, and almost every time she was asked questions like,
oh yeah, no interracial relationships too.
Like
that was crazy.
A lot of times she would say, like, they'd say, are you a communist? And she'd say, that's not what my campaign's about right now. And I was like, that is like the worst fucking answer you could have given right now. What the fuck? But every time people brought up, like, she had Twitter posts on a account that's now deleted, about open borders and, just like all of the extreme stuff, that every time they brought that up, they said like it's from a deleted account, or some people said like, oh, she's apologized for this since, and like, it said that she doesn't believe those things anymore. But that I never found where she actually condemned those beliefs, where she backed off of them. I couldn't find it anywhere. Then I watched an interview with Mamdani, and they asked him about her more extreme beliefs, and he did not say she's condemned those things, or she's backed off those, or she doesn't believe that anymore. He said, yeah, I disagree with her on a lot of things, but that's not what her campaign's about. And I thought, oh shit. Okay, like, if she deleted those things and said like, I don't believe that anymore, that's what he would have said. He didn't say that. So I'm a bit more worried about her now, but I didn't know that she had actually said those things in an interview a couple weeks ago, of all things. Like, after she won, she's saying this.
I believe she's still saying stuff like that. I know she made a video about like Puerto Rican independence, which is like a very unpopular position. I think only 10% Puerto Ricans want to be independent. Yeah, they want to be states. They want to be a state, not independent from America.
Sorry,
independence.
Yes.
Which is like a crazy, like if Puerto Rico is independent, they just get invaded by a different country or whatever, like, or just fall apart economically, like completely. No one wants that. They want independence, or not independence. They want statehood, or
they want to be a state. Yeah.
Or they want like free association or some shit, something else. But yeah, I'm not pro like DSA. I just know that we can save a lot of these people who are falling into the DSA trap. And I think, I mean, you said the DSA changed for the worse, and I do agree with that. And they initially were against communists. I think there is potential that, and it does take time. I think there's potential for the future that they can turn back to being like that too. I don't think it's against the idea. I'm not against the idea that we can't like encourage like further left members of our communities even to join DSAs locally, and through that convince them to be more pragmatic and more liberal,
Yeah, I mean, again, I
if they can,
like, I agree with like the idea of like de-radicalizing and all of those things. It's just that different people have to play different parts, and I think that you said you disagree that Destiny cares about influencing other content creators in this space against the DSA, but I think that's his entire fucking goal. Like I said, we've been having this conversation for a while about like what we call in the coalition ever since the 2024 election, where a bunch of people like Kyle Kalinske and Hassan and others didn't really endorse Kamala Harris, at least like not enough. And so everybody's been talking about who's in the coalition. Who do we think of as an ally? Who do we think of as like part of our team? Who's part of like the liberal team? Who's part of helping Democrats beat the fucking fascists? Who's actually on board and not going to do this like Bernie or bust sort of thought process? And this is just furtherance of that. This is just like, yeah, there's a bunch of people who are that sort of person, who are the person who will call Kamala Harris a fucking genocidal maniac, and who will be against, um, Democrats, establishment Democrats, in most cases, who will be heavily stigmatizing the Democrat Party more and more, making them look bad more and more. And this is just continuing that exact conversation, saying we have to stop this early on, because these are the exact types of people that we've been fighting ever since the 2024 election. This is the exact thing that we've been fighting against.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do think that people like, I don't know. I think we need our own conspiracy theorists too. I kind of draw the line at Kyle Kalinske, to be honest, with people that can be positive for Democrats. I think his wife. I think his wife is way too far. His wife, the way she speaks about Ukraine is like is satanic, bro. Like the way she speaks about Ukraine, the vicious, the venom in her voice, blaming Ukraine for world wars and shit. It's insane. It's insane. No, Crystal is. Ugh. I mean, you know, I'll be. I think there is a role to boost certain people. Like, it's hard because Breaking Points and Kyle Kalinske, their viewer base and the views they get across platforms. If I walked into this, it was like a what's the one Asian place? It's like fast food. Panda Express. I walked into a Panda Express. It was like in Maryland. It might have been like an hour outside of DC. There were 6 people watching Breaking Points for their daily news eating lunch. And I just I saw it over their shoulder on their phone. 6 people watching Breaking Points. Like and the numbers they got on YouTube and across Facebook, and oh my, they have so much influence. So when like Josiah is like, shit, we got to keep these people close enough, like Crystal and Kyle, to at least influence them a little bit. Like there's some videos they do that put Brian Tyler Cohen to shame, just based off the cross-platform saturation they get, and from the demos that are watching them is oof.
He said that, but he also said that like if Kyle is not like full-throatedly endorsing the Democrat candidate in the 2028 election, that he's totally done with them.
Yeah, definitely. And we have to make sure we hold them to that after Kyle says he would like rake his balls across hot coals to get it to the finish line. And I know it's not satisfying too, but maybe like we get a percentage of Kyle's viewers to also split from him if he does that, and to pressure him as well. So we don't know like what percentage that really is gonna be, but it's like the platforms are so big. I understand why we can't just like not engage in them whatsoever. I think some influence in the right direction is probably good, because if we cede that ground completely, and like let's say Pisco even stops going on Breaking Points, their content's going to get way worse, and then only right wingers go on, then they get like influenced in that direction.
Pisco been on Breaking Points?
Oh, he's been on there a lot. Yeah, Pisco's on there like every couple of months as their like legal guy now. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I've never.
Yeah, he's on there a lot. He does a lot of segments on there. So like I think that's still he I mean, you can argue he sweeps sometimes, but it's a huge positive to have him on there, at least influencing their conversations towards us a little bit better than it would be.
Yeah, crazy. Again, I'm talking about like that's what I'm saying is that like different people playing different parts, like doing different things. I know that a lot of like the conversation is about like these people are so cucked, these people are too weak, these people are too like, but that I don't like that conversation, because I think like that's the version that that's what everybody says about Democrats. That's what everybody says about the Democrat establishment. But the Democrat establishment has been cucked and weak because they're good at politics, because they're good at like having a big tent and um like navigating, having a lot of different beliefs. Because without that, if we do just like slim down to just the fucking liberals and fuck everybody else, we'll just stop. We'll lose every fucking election at that point. Like the Republican Party is it's all people who are very similar, where they're all fucking Christian, they're all fucking white people, they're all men, they're all Southerners, they're all like, you know, rural county people. They're all very, very similar to one another. Democrats are not. We have so much diversity, so much variety, so many different types of people with so many different types of like concerns and complaints and wants and needs. And like,
Yeah.
we have way too much diversity within our party to be MAGA. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't take some notes from MAGA and start to you know, stigmatize people who are not on board enough, who are not playing with the team enough. Like, it is annoying to have Democrats consistently try to welcome everybody else in, and then when they're welcomed in, they turn around and are like, yeah, also fuck you guys. Like, that's fucking obnoxious, and those people do need to just kind of be again heavily stigmatized. But the idea that like people like Pisco or Josiah or these other people exist in order to, if you know, Destiny is this big bad like bully who's a piece of shit and he's too mean to everybody, they still have people like Josiah that they can turn to, who I think
Yeah,
is still going to
and they can be
influence people
different.
towards the yeah.
They could be the good
Yep.
liberals and say, "Oh, we're not crazy like him. We're gonna be friends with you and influence you." And I will say to people who are talking to voters too, a big demographic of swing voters are voters that sound like, not like Kyle, but like, they'll say, "Oh, I hate both parties, but I'll vote Republican." And we do need swing voters who will be maybe conspiratorial in their thinking, who say, "I hate both parties, but I need to vote Democrat." And that's one positive thing I think about. You're not going to get enthusiastic support, but a lot of swing voters are in those positions that a Kyle could speak to. And I think it's good to have some conspiracy on the left as well. But the issue is that it can be hijacked by any side. But then you see, as long as Kyle can keep on advocating strongly for people like Tellerico, it's kind of like Nick Fuentes with Trump, where Trump does like 20 things that are anti Nick Fuentes, but he's happy to see immigrants get beaten up, so he might support Trump every now and then. We need stronger support than that for like Tellerico if he does policies that are like, because we know Mamdani did not do anything fundamental for New York City, but he can package it the right way. Same thing with Cheryl from New Jersey. I think we're finding a good model here to capture some populist fervor and like the center of the party. But anyways, appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. I had there was one more thing I wanted to ask you. Shit. I totally forgot. You said too many fucking things, and now I totally lost it. What was the first thing that you said? Oh yeah, no, wait. I remember. Okay. I want to know, you don't talk to MAGA like the way that you're talking about, right? Like, when you have a bunch of debates with MAGA, when you talk about Trump, when you talk about his policies, when you talk about Republicans, like, you do talk about them as a fucking cancer and fucking fascists and racists and shit like that. Like, you do the same thing. If somebody kept telling you like, dude, this isn't the way you change minds, this isn't the way you bring them back, like, you probably would have told them to fuck off, right?
If they are a hardcore like Trump voter, I don't think there's any. I don't think they're gettable. If it's like a swing voter that voted Trump, then I try not to do that though, because I think it doesn't really help for them. But I am hard on them. I'm stern with them. I'm not like, I'm stern.
Yeah, but it's like it's based off their tone. The people who talk to you, if they're being
Sure.
good faith and like,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I don't know, I'm starting to get annoyed. Like, it's mostly about that. It's not as much about like how deep they are. And I think that that's currently the environment that we're in, where like we're all, fascist enablers and cut a liberal and a fascist bleeds, and like that's the environment that we are in, where like the bullshit that we're getting is endless. And then when we fight back with the same sorts of tactics, there's always a bunch of people who turn around and are like, guys, we got to stop. We got to be nicer about this. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, at what point do we fight them the way that they fight us? They have gained so much prominence and so much popularity by us being welcoming them in and saying, hey, come on, guys, we're the big tent. We all want to get along. We're all voting for the same people at the end of the day anyway, so it's all good. And then we've gotten fucked over the entire period.
That's the
So
I think that comes
doesn't
with
make
being a
sense.
decent person, to be honest. I think that's like it's like being someone who picks up garbage off the sidewalk that someone else throws on it. Like, we have the burden of being good people. We have the burden of wanting to make the system survive, and it's hard for us to convince people to do the right thing. So I think that is unfortunately going to be a characteristic of everything we
But that's
everything we do. We have no
MAGA,
choice.
though. That's the same exact thing with MAGA, though, where like MAGA, everything that they do is always like, who cares? Like, it's not that big of a deal. It is what it is. But then Democrats are always the adults in the room, and they're always held
Yeah.
to a much higher fucking standard. And
Yeah, it
I
sucks.
think you have to just start playing that same game in order for them to stop thinking of you as just better than them, to where you're held to a standard that they're incapable of living up to, but they will always expect you to live up to. You have to just live that lifestyle in order for them to stop thinking of you in that way.
I do think you can't be an enabler, but I am, when I'm engaging with like MAGA, because you brought that up, and someone's like a clearly disgusting. Well, maybe it depends how explicit they are. So if someone comes out and says their most like explicit, disgusting beliefs, it's easy to say this guy's gross and whatever. But some people can really hide it and conceal it and have a mask on. So even talking to someone who inside is like, this guy's a liar, he's acting, or he's putting on a show, I still want to make sure that when I'm talking to them, I'm doing it in a way that if someone listening is less radical, but they identify with the person I'm talking to, I don't want to turn off the less radical person because the person I'm currently talking to is they have a mask on, and I want to be really nasty to them, because then I'm going to be turning off the person listening as well. So like, I try to make sure I'm presenting myself in a way that I want to be viewed as from the third person in these conversations. I don't always do it, but I try not to use words, and I debate the far left on this. I debate the Jasmine Crockett stuff, where it's like, I don't want to I try not to identify groups as this thing that cannot change.
Of your short, like calling Trump a fascist and in a dictator and shit like that. Like,
yeah, but I'm okay with that, because anyone who still supports Trump to this day is a complete dipshit moron. Like, if you still support Trump to this day, for you to be de-radicalized, it's going to be God doing it, not me. But that's only 30% of the country at this point. That's not the same, I don't think. If it was George Bush, I would not be calling him a fascist.
okay.
I don't know. It's all dumb shit anyway. It's really all dumb shit, to be honest. But these conversations carefully refine our amazing strategies. Oh shit.
Do they?
I don't know. There's really one big fish in the streaming scene. We don't really have anyone else. All the other people that get big in this end up doing regular news coverage. So Destiny's the only topic
it's
ever.
The direction that I'm likely gonna head in at some point, but
Better for views.
So-
It's easier.
it's better for views, but the problem is that you have to have like a lot of capital investment at the beginning in order to even head in that direction. So like, one thing that I would rather, even like, rather than do news, have you ever seen my documentary that I put out a while ago, or like any of my video essays or anything?
Yeah, I've seen. I have to find the one that I watched, but let me see if I
Okay,
can
so
find it.
That's what I would rather do. I would rather
There's that
be
one
doing,
big
like,
one.
the Candace Owens documentary.
Let me see. I'll look for it right now. How long ago was this one? I watched one of them. I really forget what it was about, but I remember watching a project that you made that was longer than usual.
Bear versus Man, Balenciaga.
It might have been a year ago even.
There was one
I'll
about
keep-
2 years ago that was the Candace Owens one. It was like Christ is King. Called it like the Christ is King documentary or Candace Owens documentary. But anyways, that's what I would rather do. But if it takes me like I did that one in 2 weeks, and I did it in 2 weeks by literally like not sleeping. Like it was the most unhealthy fucking 2 weeks of all time. I have lost so much fucking weight in that period. I was like geeked out of my fucking mind off Adderall the whole time. It was rough, but I wrote it, scripted it, did the research, edited the entire thing in 2 weeks, and less than 2 weeks. It was technically 12 and a half days. But um, in order to have time to do that, the whole 2 weeks, I'm not making money. I'm not getting tips. I'm not getting donations. I'm not getting uh, ad revenue. I'm not getting memberships. I'm not getting anything out of it. And then once I put out the video, it gets like 1,000 views, maybe 2,000 at most. And then I get like $5 in ad revenue.
Yeah.
So I lost like, $300 or $500 for 2 weeks. It's closer to like maybe even 1,000 for like $5. So
I will say that on TikTok, I made a video about Jasmine Crockett. And that's been a funny thing on TikTok. I get called racist every day now because I made a video about her not endorsing like Tallarico and being mean to him. And I made 5 out of my last 20 videos
she
about
did
her.
endorse him, though, didn't she?
She said vote Democrat. She did not endorse him directly. That's the whole. I sent you a clip of it. I don't know if you can watch it quick when I get off if you want.
The Democrat.
That's what the debate might be. That's one of the topics that might be a debate topic if we do that thing I sent you with that one guy. I posted 5 videos about her. I got a combined 350,000 views on those videos, and it had so much engagement that out of those 350,000 views on TikTok, it was $400 in ad revenue. Like, it's crazy. Like, but then I get no other. It was $400 in ad revenue for those three combined videos of 350,000 views because people were talking on it. But all my other videos on TikTok got no money at all. Like, randomly on TikTok, you'll get like $5 per 1,000 views, and then it'll go to 0, like, randomly. So it's so unpredictable too. I don't know how anybody could have it as an actual job because it goes up and down. Like, it doesn't even tell you why. It's crazy.
So it doesn't tell you why. I've seen a bunch of people complain about this, and I've had 2 people who I've actually looked into their stats over it. Every time it was watch time. And that's the same for YouTube. It's like, if you look at YouTube, it'll say like, you get like, I don't know, it says, I think like $9 for every 1,000 views, right? But that's every 1,000 views of an ad, not 1,000 views on your video. So on YouTube, if somebody watches the whole video and you have 10 ads on the video, okay, well, you got 1,000 times 10 now is what you're getting. But the people who or sorry, not even that. No. It's if it says $9 for 1,000, then it's 1,000 who watch the whole video. So you're never getting what it actually says you're going to get because the majority of the people don't watch the whole video. So
yeah, and TikTok pays you extra for engaging topics and controversy and whatever. Someone said Jasmine did endorse Tallarico. Okay, what Jasmine said was, I congratulate Tallarico on winning. And then she said, we must vote Democrat up and down the ballot, blah, blah, blah. She promised during the primary she would campaign for him. After the primary, after she lost, she said, I actually don't think I'm going to anymore. Then she went on rants about how it was a racist race. She said that the Stephen Colbert Show colluded in a conspiracy to help Tallarico win. Her campaign accused Tallarico. Her campaign accused Tallarico of getting their Instagram account pulled down somehow. So apparently Tallarico also has conspiratorial connections to Instagram. They accused Tallarico of being racist by calling Colin Allred, another candidate who ran a few times and is running for Congress now, by calling him a mediocre black man. Tallarico says he called his campaign mediocre, and they still said that was racist. And this is based off a TikToker's quote that Tallarico said to them in private, apparently. So they tried framing Tallarico and his campaign as racist. Crockett joined the race on the final day to file, okay, and then she loses. If she would have joined earlier, she probably would have won. She got 46% of the vote. And now she won't even talk about Tallarico. She endorsed for California governor. She has an official page of endorsements on her Fire PAC website. She endorsed and she campaigned for governor of California, for governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands. She's going to Michigan to campaign for a candidate up there, and she cannot campaign or make an official presidential endorsement for U.S. Senate in Texas. She says she's only going to campaign in Dallas for races she wants to help with. So she's being a sore loser, and she's still saying she said it. She said last week it was a racist race, and she went on rants on Threads, which my latest video was about that I sent Tom, and he could show you guys if you're watching. I'm gonna hop off because my throat's killing me. But she put up a post arguing with a guy saying, you people, your people, referring to white people, need to help win. She said, I'm not going to help y'all, basically. And all the comments that I get that are pro Crockett essentially say that whites and blacks cannot get along. And I'm against that. I'm pro multiculturalism. Although I do support the black community making demands of Democrats.
I've gone over this a couple of times. There's a guy that I really like that does farm videos, and he was talking about the fact that it's like racist that everybody expects when Tallarico hasn't tried campaigning towards black people or hasn't said he's going to do anything for black people, that everybody expects the black man to just get up and just vote for the guy.
Do all the work.
It's the Democrat Party.
Do all the work.
Like, kept doing this, like, oh, you guys expect the black people to do this. And when I watched this, I was like, this is fucking bullshit, because this has nothing to do with black people. This is vote blue. No, it's about a fucking standard. If he wants to go watch Hassan get endless shit from literally everybody all over the place, he can go watch him. It's not a black man doing this thing. It is, you vote for the fucking Democrat while we're trying to deal with Trump and everything.
No, and it's crazy too. Like, it's about Jasmine Crockett. My videos are about Jasmine, and people are talking about the black community. Now, I have a consistent standard. I made videos grilling Haley Stevens, Abdul. If they don't support each other, I have videos grilling them, videos grilling Janet Mills. Any Democrat who does not support other Democrats winning, I am going to grill them. If they put personal political drama over it, I'm gonna grill them. And that standard is very basic across all platforms. Now, Jasmine and any race, Jasmine is the only one who is on Threads of all websites. She's on Threads arguing with 5 like comments on Threads, calling them your people, referring to race, obviously. And she's also the person who said that black people are dumb being slaves. That's why we need Latino immigrants. Like, that is such a bad quote. Like, anyways, I appreciate the conversation. This is my first night streaming again, so I appreciate having a conversational partner. I'll be talking to Destiny at 12 Eastern tomorrow. And yeah, I sent you the one TikTok thing
3 months ago. Did you not stream the panel that I had you on, or was that 3 months ago?
That was 3 months ago. That was exactly the last time I streamed, I think. Yeah.
Or no, that's right. You had like a bunch of streams from 3 months ago, and then you had one that was 2 months ago. So I guess that was the panel. Okay.
Yeah, I probably hopped on.
Okay. Well, good luck with Destiny tomorrow. We'll probably give it a review.
Yeah, sounds good. Wait, are you gonna watch that TikTok? I'll watch your stream if you're gonna watch it. I'm not sure if you said you were gonna.
Yeah, earlier I clicked on it, and I thought it was a picture.
Oh no, yeah, that's the.
Clicked on it. It just popped up. I have to click the fucking link. So.
I got you. All right. Y'all have a good one.
All right, later.
All right, guys, my throat is raw right now. Thank you for 5 Australian. Thank you, Jordan Liebeck. I'll check that out then. I'm sorry. I've been sick. My throat is killing me. I gotta go rest my throat. Tom is still streaming, guys. I can't even say goodnight, but appreciate it. My throat is on fire. Good to see you guys. Good to see you all. Caveman, even Caveman's here. Midas, Chris, Siri. My throat is dying, bro. All right, yeah, have a good one. Peace. W chat. Only horizontal streams, or yeah, horizontal. No more vertical. No more vertical. All right, see you. Yeah, good night, guys. Go to Tom's stream.